I saw her laugh at my shoes. I looked down and said nothing. I wanted to disappear in that moment. That was the day I started to feel small. It was a hot morning at school. I walked into my classroom with my old blue bag. The zipper was broken. I used a small pin to close it. I kept my hand on it all the time. Other kids talked and laughed. I heard new words that day. New shoes. New phone. New bag. I sat down quietly. I put my bag under the desk. I did not want anyone to see it. Then Lily walked in. She wore a white dress and shiny shoes. Her shoes made a soft sound on the floor. Everyone looked at her. She came near me. She looked down at my feet. "Why are your shoes like that?" she asked. Her voice was not loud, but it felt very loud to me. I looked at my shoes. They were old. The color was not clear anymore. The front was a little open. "They are still okay," I said. She smiled a little. Then she laughed. Not a big laugh, just a small one. But I felt it in my chest. A boy behind me said, "Maybe she likes old things." Some kids laughed. I did not turn around. I did not speak again. I just looked at my desk. The teacher came in soon. The class became quiet. But my ears were still hot. My hands were cold. I could not listen to the lesson. I only thought about my shoes. At lunch, I sat alone. I ate slowly. I did not look at anyone. I saw other girls take photos together. They smiled and showed their new things. I turned my face away. After school, I walked home. The road was long that day. My shoes made a soft, tired sound. When I opened the door, my mom was in the kitchen. She was cooking soup. The room smelled warm. "You are back," she said with a smile. I put my bag down. "Mom," I said. She turned to look at me. "Why don't we have nice things?" My voice was quiet, but it was heavy. She looked at me for a moment. Then she wiped her hands and walked to me. "We choose simple things," she said softly. I looked at her face. She was smiling, calm, warm. I nodded. "Okay," I said. I went to my room. I sat on my bed. I looked at my shoes again. "They are okay," I whispered. But something inside me did not feel okay. That night, I lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. I told myself, simple is fine. But my heart asked a small question. Then why do I feel so small? That night, I could not sleep well. I turned from side to side in my bed. My mom's words stayed in my head. We choose simple things. The next morning, I woke up early. The room was quiet. I heard soft sounds from the kitchen. I walked out slowly. My mom was there. She stood by the table. She held a small notebook in her hand. She looked up and saw me. "You woke up early," she said with a smile. I nodded. I sat down. For a moment, I did not speak. Then I asked again, "Mom, why do we choose simple things?" She did not answer right away. She closed the notebook. She sat down next to me. "We are saving money," she said. "For what?" I asked. She looked at me. Her eyes were soft. "For something special," she said. I waited. I wanted more. "What is it?" I asked. She smiled, but she did not answer. "It is a surprise," she said. "A big one." I felt something warm in my chest. "A big one?" I asked again. She nodded. "Yes, so we do not spend money on small things now." I looked down at my hands, my old shoes, my old bag. They were not old anymore. They were part of something big. I slowly smiled. "Okay," I said. That day I walked to school again. The road was still long. My shoes were still the same. But I walked a little faster. In class, Lily came again. She looked nice as always. Her shoes still shined. She looked at me. "Still wearing those shoes?" she asked. Her voice was light. I took a small breath. "We are saving money," I said. She looked surprised. "For what?" she asked. I lifted my head a little. For something special, I said. She did not laugh this time. Oh, she said. The boy behind me leaned forward. What special thing? He asked. I shook my head. It's a secret, I said. For a moment no one spoke. Then he said, That sounds cool. Cool. I held that word in my heart. At lunch I sat with other girls. I did not sit alone. They talked about things again. New bags, new shoes. I listened. Then I said, I don't buy things now. Why? One girl asked. I smiled a little. Because I am waiting for something better. They looked at me. No one laughed. That night I lay in bed again. I closed my eyes and thought about the something special. I did not know what it was, but I saw it in my mind. It was big, bright, beautiful. I smiled in the dark. Maybe we were not poor. Maybe we were just waiting. And for the first time, I did not feel small. A few days passed. I kept thinking about the something special. I felt proud when I said it. I started to believe it was real. That night, I went to bed early. I felt a little tired. The day was long, but my heart was light. I closed my eyes. But in the middle of the night, I woke up. I did not know why. The room was dark. The air was quiet. Then I heard a soft sound. Clink, clink, clink. It came from the living room. I sat up slowly. I listened. Clink, clink. I got out of bed. I walked to the door. I opened it a little. A small light came in. I walked out quietly. My feet made no sound. Then I saw my mom. She sat at the table. A small lamp was on. The light was yellow and soft. On the table, I saw many coins. My mom held one coin in her hand. Then she put it down. Clink. She counted slowly. 1, 2, 3. Her voice was very soft. I stood there. I did not move. Her back looked small. Her shoulders were low. I never saw her like that before. She stopped counting. She looked at the coins for a long time. Then she said, very quietly, "This is not enough." My heart moved. Something inside me felt strange. Not pain, not fear, just heavy. I looked at the table again. There were no big plans there, no bright future, only coins, small, cold, real. I stepped back slowly. I went back to my room. I lay in bed again. My eyes were open. I thought about her words. Something special. Saving money. I turned to the side. I pulled my blanket closer. I told myself, she is saving. She is trying. She did not lie. But another voice in my heart spoke. Then why did she look so tired? Then why did she say, not enough? I closed my eyes tightly. I did not want the answers. The next morning I woke up late. The sun was already high. I walked to the kitchen. My mum was there again. She smiled when she saw me. "Good morning," she said. Her voice was warm, just like before. Breakfast was ready. Everything looked normal, like last night was not real. I sat down. I looked at her hands. They moved quickly, calm, strong. I wanted to ask something, but I did not. She turned to me and said, "We are still saving, okay?" I looked at her face. She smiled. The same smile, soft, warm, safe. I nodded. "Okay," I said. But this time my voice was very quiet, because now I was not sure what I should believe. That day I said nothing. I kept the night in my heart. I looked at my mom the same way. But something inside me had changed. At school I tried to act normal. I talked. I smiled. I said the same words. We are saving for something special. But now when I said it, my chest felt tight. After class, my teacher asked me to stay. "Can you call your mom?" she said gently. I nodded. In the afternoon, my mum came to school. I stood outside the office. The door was not fully closed. I did not want to listen, but I could not walk away. I heard my teacher's voice. "She is a good girl." my teacher said, but she feels shy in class. There was a short silence. Then my teacher said, "Some kids laugh at her things." My fingers became cold. I looked down at my shoes, old, quiet, like me. Then I heard my mom. "I know," she said softly. Her voice was calm, too calm. "I try to help her," she said. "How?" my teacher asked. There was another silence. I held my breath. Then my mom spoke again. "I told her a story," she said. "A story?" the teacher asked. "Yes," my mom said. "I told her we are saving money for something special." My heart stopped for a moment. The air felt heavy. The world became very quiet. Then my mom said one more thing. "I want her to feel proud," she said. "Not poor." I closed my eyes. Tears came out, but I did not make a sound. Outside the door, I stood very still. Now I understood everything. There was no big surprise, no bright future waiting, only my mom and her quiet love. She did not give me new shoes. She gave me a reason to stand. I wiped my tears. I took a small step back, then another. When my mom came out, I stood straight. I looked at her and smiled. "Let's go home," I said. She looked a little surprised, but then she smiled too. On the way home, we walked side by side. No one spoke. The road was the same. My shoes were the same. But my heart was not the same. That night, I lay in bed again. I looked at the ceiling. I thought about her words. I want her to feel proud. I put my hand on my chest. It felt warm, a little heavy, but also strong. For the first time I saw my mom's secret, and I knew it was made of love. The next morning I woke up early. I looked at my shoes by the bed. They were still old, but I did not look away this time. I put them on slowly. I tied the laces with care. Then I stood up. I looked at myself in the mirror. I was the same girl, but I felt different. At school the sun was bright. The air was warm. Everything looked just like before. But inside me something was quiet and strong. In class, Lily came again. She looked at my shoes. "Still the same?" she asked. Her voice was light. I looked at her. I did not feel hot. I did not feel small. I felt calm. "Yes," I said. "Why don't you buy new ones?" she asked. I smiled a little. "Because I don't need them," I said. She looked at me for a moment. Then she nodded. "Okay," she said. No laugh, no whisper, just quiet. The boy behind me did not speak either. The class went on, but this time I listened. I wrote my notes. I answered one question. My voice was not loud, but it did not shake. At lunch, I sat with the other girls again. They talked about new things. I listened. Then I smiled. I did not feel left out. I did not feel less. After school, I walked home. The road was the same, but my steps were steady. When I opened the door, my mum was there. She turned and smiled. "You are back," she said. I walked to her. This time I did not stop. I put my arms around her. I held her tight. She was a little surprised. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "Nothing," I said. Then I paused. "Thank you." She did not ask more. She just smiled and touched my hair. That night I sat on my bed. I looked at my shoes again. They were still simple. But now I understood. They carried more than my steps. They carried my mom's quiet love. I lay down and closed my eyes. I did not need a big surprise anymore. I already had something special. I had her. And I had the truth. But I chose to keep her secret. Because some secrets are not lies. Some secrets are love.